Hello there. Welcome to this still, quiet place we share. I'm so happy you've settled in for the night, and that the world outside can now gently fade away. Imagine looking up at the countless pinpricks of light in the darkness. Each star's glow has traveled across unimaginable distances just to find your eyes tonight, moving at a speed that truly changes everything. Tonight, we're going to whisper about the great traveler light itself and the curious, beautiful way it interacts with time. We'll lean into a cosmic puzzle. What happens to the ticking of the clock when you move so swiftly, so profoundly fast that you almost catch up to the light beam itself? We'll explore the science that suggests speed doesn't just shorten the journey, it softens and slows the experience of time in ways we can only dream about. This is a gentle journey, and there's absolutely no rush. If this kind of quiet, stargazing wonder helps your thoughts settle and brings you ease tonight, a soft like and a quiet subscribe. Help others find this calm corner too. Now, let the idea settle lightly in your mind, like distant starlight. When you're ready, we'll move together, unhurried and warm. You're lying here as if the whole world has finally exhaled, but inside your thoughts are still gently in motion. Outside the window, evening has folded itself over the trees. Somewhere beyond, the stars, whether you can see them or not, are shining from distances so large the mind can't quite hold them. Their light began its journey long before this day, and yet it arrives as if it were meant just for your eyes now. Inside that glow is a quiet rule that shapes the way reality keeps time. Light moves through space at a speed so huge it almost feels imaginary, about 300,000 kilometers every second. And yet, when sunlight spills across your pillow in the morning, it doesn't crash into you. It arrives as gently as a breath, as if it weighed nothing at all. Light carries no mass. It doesn't shove matter out of the way. It glides through the empty spaces between atoms and stars. But there is something stranger about it. No matter how fast you move toward a beam of light or away from it, that beam always, stubbornly, keeps the same speed. It never lets you catch up, and it never falls behind. Imagine sitting in a rocket, pushing the engines harder and harder. You might expect the light in front of you to appear slower, the way a car on the highway seems to crawl when you finally match its speed. But it doesn't. Even from your racing rocket, light would still rush past at exactly the same pace as it does when you're lying in bed. The universe refuses to change that number, so it changes something else instead. To feel the softness of that change, imagine yourself not on a rocket, but on a train, gliding smoothly through the night. Inside the carriage, everything is calm. You hold a small flashlight in your hand. When you switch it on and point the beam upward, the light travels from your hand to a mirror on the ceiling and back again. To you, inside the train, it looks like a simple straight path, up, down, like a quiet bounce. To someone standing beside the tracks, watching the train slide past, the picture is different. In their eyes, the beam isn't just going up and down. The whole train is moving sideways, so the light traces a long diagonal, up, forward, and down again. The light has to cover more distance in their view than in yours. And yet both of you must agree that it moved at exactly the same speed. For that to be true, something in the story has to stretch, and what stretches is time. Inside the moving train, the seconds themselves lengthen just a little, so that the light can keep its unchanging pace. The ticks of your watch, the spaces between your heartbeats, the quiet intervals between your breaths, all slow down compared to the world outside. You don't feel it, but the math insists on it. This is time dilation. time bending, so that light never has to. In this sense, light becomes a quiet ruler the universe uses to measure everything else. The way clocks tick, the way distances are defined, the way cause and effect line up, all of it is arranged so that the speed of light stays steady. When you look at a clock on your wall, you're not just seeing a human invention, you're seeing a small echo of a deeper rule that links space, motion, and time together. Lying here in the dark, it may feel as though none of this touches you. You are not racing in rockets. You are not leaning out beside the tracks. But even in stillness, your experience of now is less rigid than it seems. The atoms in your body are tiny storms of motion, and all of their restless processes, deep down, obey the same limits that light obeys. You are built from events that keep time with the universe's speed limit. Somewhere far away, perhaps in a galaxy whose name we'll never know, a single photon, a tiny packet of light, is still traveling toward Earth. It may have left its home star millions of years ago. The star itself could already be gone, and yet its photon continues its journey. For us, that path through space is long and ancient. For the photon, if it could be aware, there is no path at all, no before and after. At the speed of light, time ceases to flow. The instant it is created and the instant it is absorbed collapse into one. Our best equations quietly insist on this, even if it feels like a kind of soft poetry. Your own now is slower and more fragile. It depends on how long it takes for light to reach your eyes, for signals to move along your nerves, for your brain to gather them up into awareness. Even the sound of this sentence takes time to reach you. Nothing in your life is truly instantaneous, and yet your mind gently stitches all those tiny delays together into one smooth flow. It lets you feel that you exist inside a continuous moment rather than a scattered stack of separate instants. If you listen inward for a while, you can sense that you are not just moving through time, you are keeping time, not with numbers or glowing screens, but with pulses and cycles. Deep in your chest, your heart is beating its soft drum. In your lungs, air is flowing in and out, tracing a calm pattern of exchange. Behind your eyes, threads of electricity are lighting up and fading in intricate rhythms, letting you imagine, remember, and drift. From the day you were born, your body has been doing this, building its own clocks out of its own motions. Scientists call these repeating patterns biological rhythms. They are the reason you tend to feel sleepy at certain hours and alert at others, hungry at familiar times, restless when you've been still too long. Some rhythms are quick, like the blink of your eyes or the tiny bursts of activity that let you move your fingers. Others are slow, like the daily cycle that hums gently along with sunrise and sunset. These clocks are not rigid like the gears of a watch. They sway and slide, like waves arriving on a beach, never exactly the same, but always recognizably themselves. They talk to one another through hormones, nerves, and chemicals in the blood, constantly adjusting. You've probably felt what happens when they slip out of step. Jet lag is one example. It isn't just feeling tired. It's what happens when the rhythm inside you no longer matches the light outside your window. Your inner sense of morning may arrive when the local sky is still deep midnight, and the world feels just slightly tilted. Even then, your body keeps trying to find its balance again. You carry your own sense of time with you, and slowly it resettles. That inner time is deeply personal. Your heart has its own habits. Your breathing has its own pace. Your memories, moods, and worries all change how quickly or slowly a moment seems to pass. No one else experiences seconds exactly the way you do. Think of your heart for a moment. When you rest like this, it might beat about once each second, or a bit slower, or a bit faster. Each beat is like a gentle knock from inside, saying, "You are here." When you get up, when you climb stairs, when you're frightened or excited or safe, your heart listens and responds. It speeds up to carry you through effort, and it slows down to let you sink into rest. Your breathing is another. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The air you draw in doesn't just keep your cells alive. The speed and depth of your breath send messages to your nervous system. Slow, deep breaths tell your body that it is allowed to relax, that the danger has passed for now. Quick, shallow breaths prepare you to move quickly, to react. When you fall asleep, your breath stretches out, the gaps between inhales growing longer and softer. Time itself seems to ease along with it. Memory is a quiet kind of time travel. It doesn't rewrite the past, but it lets you visit. Years can fold up into an instant when the right song plays, and suddenly part of you is back in a room that no longer exists, with people who are far away or gone. Your body often responds as if it really is there. Your heart rate shifts, your face softens or tightens, your breath catches, your brain doesn't file your life away as dates and hours. It keeps it as scenes, sensations, meanings. You feel the slipperiness of time very clearly when you wait. A few minutes can stretch until each second feels thin and fragile. When you are immersed in something you love, the opposite happens, and hours slip past almost unnoticed. The outside world has not changed its pace. What changed was the rhythm of your attention. Deep within you, tiny biochemical clocks are keeping track of cycles that you never notice. Some genes in your cells switch on and off with the time of day. Your organs each have their preferred hours to work and rest. You are full of overlapping schedules you never planned, but they hold you gently in a pattern that makes life possible. With so many clocks, it's natural to wonder how they avoid drifting apart. The answer leads us back, softly, to light. Your eyes do more than form images of shapes and colors. Hidden among the cells that let you see detail are special receptors that mainly care about brightness. They send quiet signals to a tiny region deep in your brain, a small knot of neurons often called your master clock. It listens to the world's day-night cycle and uses it to guide the rhythms of the body. When morning light reaches your eyes, that master clock sends messages that say, "It's day now." Hormones that help you feel awake begin to rise. Your body temperature creeps upward. Your heart and lungs get ready for movement. As evening comes and light fades, the signals change. Your body starts to cool. Thoughts become slower, softer around the edges. A hormone called melatonin begins to flow more freely, inviting sleepiness. None of this is just habit. It is your biology, responding to the pattern of light and shadow that cradled your ancestors for millions of years. Even now, as night settles more deeply around you, that daily choreography is unfolding. Muscles release their tension. The mind begins to loosen its grip on tasks and worries. You might reach for a glowing screen, for images and words that mimic daylight. That extra light can nudge your inner clocks out of tune for a while, persuading your brain that night has not truly arrived. Long flights across time zones, working under bright lights at unusual hours, staying up late with luminous pixels, all of these can confuse your internal sense of when you are. And yet, beneath any confusion, your system is patient. It keeps listening. It watches for the return of a steady pattern. the timing of sunrise and sunset, the familiar shape of your days, the quiet regularity of your own breath and heartbeat. Little by little, it resynchronizes. You are not a fragile machine that breaks when the timing slips. You are a flexible, living network of clocks, always adjusting, always seeking a gentle harmony with your surroundings. The time you feel from the inside, the pace of your days, the length of a moment, the weight of a memory is yours alone. No one else lives exactly in your rhythm. And yet, within that solitude, there is something gently shared. We all move through time carried by bodies that keep their own steady pulse. We all sleep and wake, grow and age, wait and remember. And every so often, we all look up at the same sky and allow distant starlight to settle softly into our eyes, without fully realizing how far it has traveled to meet us here, in this small, quiet place where you are breathing, listening, and slowly drifting toward rest. You may never stand on the surface of another star, but its light still finds you. Night after night, it slips past clouds, crosses rooftops, and reaches you unchanged by the long journey. In its own silent way, it carries a memory of a place impossibly far away, and in noticing it, in letting that faint glow touch your eyes, and then your thoughts, you answer. It is a soft conversation across distance, the stars offering their patient burning, and you responding simply by being here to receive their light. As your breath softens and your body settles into stillness, you can imagine one single beam of light that has traveled for ages to reach you. It did not rush or hesitate. It moved at its constant speed, keeping faith with a rule of nature that never changes. Light does not mark calendars or set alarms. It just goes, and in the distance it covers. Time leaves its trace. Sometimes that light is young, born recently on the surface of a nearby star. Sometimes it is ancient, stretched thin by distance and gravity until its color slides beyond what your eyes can see. When it grows that old, it doesn't disappear. It changes into wavelengths too gentle for human sight, slipping into radio and microwave murmurs. It keeps moving, often right through you, part of a soft background that has existed since long before anyone tried to name seconds. Before clocks and screens and hours, there were only these changes in light, shadows leaning and shrinking as the sun moved, stars drifting slowly across a moonless sky. Human eyes watched them and slowly felt a pattern. Time was not something to count yet. It was something to feel, like cold air before dawn, or warmth fading in the evening. Your ancestors lay on the ground as you lie on your bed, under the same sky, and learned to sense time from the way light moved across the earth. You can picture it, a world without roads or cities, without electric glow, a wide field under the open sky. A single stick or stone stands upright in the grass. Nearby, a small fire flickers. Someone pays attention to their own shadow, stretching out as the sun sinks. They are not thinking of numbers. They are feeling the day tilt toward night. Their shadow lengthens, softens, and finally fades into the dark. In that simple shape, time is already writing its first marks. The sun's light draws patterns all day. In the morning, shadows are long and gentle. As the sun climbs, they shrink inward. In the afternoon, they stretch out again in the opposite direction. From this rhythm, people made one of their first tools for tracking time, a stick in the ground, the first sundial. As the day passed, the shadow traced a path over stone or soil. Marks were carved, and the story of light's motion became a kind of language, not minutes or seconds, but when to plant, when to gather, when to rest. You are part of this same heritage. Even if you have never seen a sundial in person, your body still reads light. When you wake, you look for brightness, even if it is only a pale glow behind curtains. When it touches your face, some deep part of you registers morning. When it fades, your thoughts soften, your eyes grow heavier, and the chemistry of sleep begins to flow more freely. Without effort, you are responding to the same ancient cues: light for activity, darkness for dreams. Close your eyes and imagine the night without any human-made light. No street lamps, no headlights, no screens, only stars, thick and sharp. To the people who watched them for generations, stars were not just decoration, they were clocks. Certain patterns rose just before winter, others appeared as spring returned. The sky was a slow, turning calendar written in tiny points of light. Stories and time folded together there so that remembering a constellation meant remembering when to begin and when to wait. In many places, this relationship with the sky was set gently into stone. Circles, pillars, and corridors were built so that, on certain days of the year, the rising sun would send a single beam exactly through a doorway or along a passage. These places were not only for ceremony. They were instruments, quiet stone clocks, waiting year after year for light to return to a precise angle. Back then, time did not feel like a row of tiny slots on a screen. It felt wide and circular, looping back on itself in seasons and cycles. Long evenings in summer, deep stillness in winter. Even now, with numbers glowing from phones and ovens and dashboards, some part of you still feels that older rhythm. You may notice more energy when the days are long and bright. You may feel a natural pull toward quiet when the nights come early. The ancient clock has never left you. It pulses in your biology. And even today, astronomers and physicists still lean on light to decide what a second is and how long a day truly lasts. Look up in your mind to the turning sky. The stars seem to move from east to west each night, not because they are racing around you, but because Earth is slowly spinning. Near the north, one star hardly seems to move at all. Polaris, the North Star, hangs, almost fixed, while the rest of the sky wheels around it. For travelers and sailors, that calm point was once a guide. Find that star, and you could find your direction. Tonight, that same point of light is above you somewhere, even if clouds and city glow hide it, and you are not alone under it. Somewhere far from your room, on a hill or a rooftop, another person is leaning back, letting their eyes adjust to the dark. They may speak a different language, carry different worries, live a different life. But in that moment, you share something quiet and deep. The slow passage of stars, the gentle ticking of Earth's rotation, the awareness that the universe is moving and you are moving with it. In this kind of noticing, time begins to feel different. It stops pushing you forward and starts opening around you. You are no longer counting minutes. You are feeling breaths, a long inhale, a soft pause, a slow exhale, another. Without a single number, you are marking the passing of time in the rise and fall of your chest, in the warmth and cooling of your skin. A shadow shifts. A star appears. Time becomes something you touch instead of something you chase. You might quietly ask yourself what time really is for you. Is it a schedule, a list of tasks, a series of alarms? Or is it this, the sensation of being carried, heartbeat by heartbeat, through changing light? If time is a dance of brightness and darkness, of waking and sleeping, of presence and memory, then it is also something that can bend, not only around days and seasons, but around gravity and motion, around the very shape of the universe. That thought once rode a tram with a young man and changed how we see reality. Imagine a warm evening in a small European city in 1905. Cobblestones click under iron wheels. Gas lamps glow along narrow streets. You sit on a wooden bench inside a tram, watching rooftops slide past under a fading orange sky. Beside you is a young patent clerk with unruly hair and gentle, restless eyes. His name is Albert Einstein. He looks out of the same window, but he is seeing something different. In his mind, a beam of sunlight stretches over the rooftops ahead, and he wonders what it would mean to chase it. If he could travel alongside that beam, almost matching its speed, what would the world look like? How would clocks behave? What would become of time? Einstein believed that the basic laws of nature should look the same no matter how you move, whether you are standing still, walking, or gliding on that tram. That belief led him to a strange conclusion. Time is not a single rigid rhythm shared by everyone. It can stretch and shrink depending on how you move. Until then, most people imagined time as one great clock ticking the same for all. He saw instead a flexible thing, personal to each path through the universe. In his picture, light is not only illumination, but a boundary. Its speed is the fastest anything can travel, and it is always the same. Because that speed does not change, distance and time must bend around it. Your passage through time is woven together with your motion through space. The two cannot be separated. To feel a hint of this, you can imagine two observers. One stands on a platform, the other rides a fast, smooth train. Between them, a flash of light shines from floor to ceiling and back again. For the person on the platform, the light seems to go straight up and straight down. For the person on the train, it follows a longer, slanted path because the train has moved while the light was in flight. Both must agree on the speed of that light. The only way for nature to keep that agreement is to let time stretch for the one who is moving. Their seconds quietly grow longer so that the beam covers its extra distance without breaking the rule. This gentle stretching is called time dilation. Motion slows the flow of time. Gravity can do something similar. Einstein later realized that space and time form a single fabric, space-time, and that heavy objects, like stars and planets, bend it. Near a massive body, that fabric dips. Clocks closer to the dip tick more slowly than clocks farther away. Time runs a little slower lower down in a gravitational well. Space and time are not separate stages on which life plays. They are fused and gently curved by mass and motion. High above you, satellites orbit Earth carrying very precise clocks. Because they are moving quickly and floating higher in Earth's gravity, their time flows differently from time on the ground. If we ignored that difference, the navigation systems that guide planes, ships, and phones would quickly drift out of step. Each time you check your location on a screen, you are leaning, without realizing it, on the idea that time bends. If time can stretch, it can also part paths that began together. Imagine a pair of twins who start life side by side. They share early mornings, late night whispers, the same sky. One day, their choices differ. One stays on Earth, the other boards a spacecraft and travels into deep space at a speed close to that of light. For the twin who travels, life inside the cabin feels ordinary enough. There are tasks, sleep, dreams, boredom, curiosity. But compared with Earth, their time is slowed. Moving so fast through space means moving more slowly through time. When the traveling twin returns, something remarkable appears. The one who stayed on Earth has aged decades. The one who flew has aged only a few years. They began together, but their journeys through space-time were different, and so their ages are no longer the same. This is the twin paradox, though there is no real contradiction. It is simply the universe being consistent with its own rules. Time is not absolute. It is personal, shaped by motion, by gravity, by the path you take. You do not need a spaceship to live your own small version of this. When you ride in an airplane or live at high altitude, time for you flows just a little differently than it does for someone at sea level. The difference is unimaginably tiny, but it exists. Your path through space-time is your own. No one else has walked it, not even someone who shares your birthday or your name. If this feels strange, you can let it soften into something comforting. Time, which can seem like a cold, uniform ticking that treats everyone the same, turns out to be gentle and personal. You carry your own time the way you carry your own heartbeat. It follows you into busy days and quiet nights, adjusting to how fast you move and how deeply you rest. You can return to the image of the twins reunited, one face more lined, one smoother, one heart carrying a few extra beats. And yet, they remember the same childhood sky, the same first stories, the same early laughter echoing across the same backyard. Their timelines no longer line up perfectly, but their connection is untouched. Time has stretched unevenly, and still, love has flowed through both branches without ever breaking. You may never sail near the speed of light, but the lesson rests gently in your hands all the same. Time is not a rigid grid laid over your life. It is a river that curves and widens and narrows as you move. Children feel it differently than elders. Mountains and oceans keep their own slow, patient versions of it. Every living thing ages at its own tempo. Even as we share the same planet, the same sun, the same star-washed dark. Here in this quiet room, your life is moving gently forward. The walls are still, the night leans close, and you drift through your own private current of time, shaped by gravity, by motion, by memory, by light. You don't need to count each second to honor it. You only need to feel this breath the way it begins, the way it swells, the way it softens. In that simple rise and fall lives everything the universe whispers about time, that it is steady and flexible, vast and intimate, wide enough for galaxies, and gentle enough to cradle you as you fall asleep. And just like the twin who crossed the stars and returned younger, your path through time is quietly, stubbornly your own. No one else will ever move through the universe in exactly the way you do. So it's natural to wonder, if moving quickly can already stretch time, what would happen if you went faster still? Not just fast like a plane, not even fast like a satellite, but so close to the speed of light that the difference almost disappears. What would it feel like to live inside that kind of motion? You can explore it without leaving your pillow. Close your eyes and imagine yourself gliding into the darkness between stars. There is no rumble under your feet, no shaking walls. Your ship moves so smoothly that it feels like pure stillness, even as its speed climbs higher and higher. The stars that once pricked the sky as tiny points begin to blur into fine streaks, like threads pulled gently across black velvet. You are approaching the speed of light, and in that quiet, something begins to change. Not out there, far away, other worlds continue on as always. Distant clocks keep ticking, stars keep burning, galaxies keep slowly turning, but inside your fast-moving cocoon, your own moments begin to lengthen. Each second that passes for you feels wide and spacious, like a deep breath that never quite ends. This is the same relativity you've already met, only now you're feeling its full strength. The rule is simple. The faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. Before, it was just a sentence. Now, you're inside it. You glance at a clock on the wall of your imagined ship. The digits advance, or the hands move, but they seem unhurried, almost lazy. They are still counting in ones, still stepping forward rhythmically, but compared with the outside universe, those steps would be far apart. If you could look through a window and somehow watch events unfolding far away, you'd see them sped up, as if the rest of reality were playing in fast forward. Stars would age and shed their outer layers in what felt like moments. Civilizations might rise and fall in what, from your perspective, would be a short span. Out there, lifetimes would compress into quick flashes. In here, everything about your body would be slow and gentle. Your heart would beat, your lungs would fill and empty, your cells would divide and repair. But compared with the clocks on Earth, all of it would be taking its time. If you stayed in that motion long enough and then turned around to come home, you could find that decades, maybe centuries, had passed for the people on the ground, while only a handful of years had passed for you. Time would not have stopped, but it would have flowed differently along your path, deep and stretched and kind. This isn't just a dreamy idea. Time dilation has been measured, not only in equations, but in the bodies of astronauts aboard the International Space Station. They orbit Earth at high speeds, and because of that motion, their time runs just a little slower than the time on the ground. When they come home, they are younger by an amount so tiny you could never feel it, fractions of a second, but the difference is real, written into the digits of precise clocks and the structure of space-time itself. As your imagined ship gets closer and closer to light speed, the effect grows stronger. From the universe's point of view, your time almost freezes. Years could pass for others while only days pass for you. Yet from your point of view, nothing feels strange at all. Your watch still ticks 1 second after another. Your thoughts unfold at the same familiar pace. You never feel slowed down. The stretching of time shows up only in comparison, like a secret visible only when two lives are held next to each other. You might be tempted to ask, why not go all the way? Why not reach the speed of light itself and let time stop completely? The universe has a gentle but firm answer. Anything with mass can never quite get there. Light is special because it has no rest mass at all. That's what allows it to move forever at that ultimate speed. For objects like ships, planets, or people, things work differently. As your imaginary spacecraft accelerates, its energy increases. In the language of physics, its relativistic mass effectively grows. Each extra push adds speed, but each step forward costs more and more energy than the last. To get all the way to the speed of light, you would need an infinite amount of energy. There is simply no fuel, no engine, no clever trick that can supply that. You can only approach closer and closer, but that last tiny gap never closes. The speed of light is not a barrier like a wall. It is more like a horizon in the landscape of reality, always ahead, never reached. Far from being disappointing, this limit is part of what makes the universe coherent and gentle. It keeps cause and effect in order. It sets a kind of structure that everything else can lean on. And it invites you to think about what happens near the edge, where time is as stretched as it can be for a traveler. You might picture yourself now, not in a sleek machine, but resting in a hammock suspended between stars. The cosmos rushes by beneath you, ancient and busy, while you lie almost outside of its haste. Whole centuries slide underneath like slow-moving clouds. Galaxies shift, comets swing in wide arcs, and yet you remain cradled in your own elongated moments, unhurried and awake. You're not lost in time, you're folded into it. This stretching is not a mistake in the universe. It's a sign of its generosity. Time is not a rigid, cold mechanism. It's a responsive fabric that bends for motion, curves for gravity, and adapts to the energy of what it carries. Even here on Earth, without rockets or star hammocks, you feel echoes of that behavior. A joyful afternoon with someone you love slips away almost too quickly. A difficult waiting room can make 10 minutes feel like an hour. Your perception of time is a kind of inner relativity, shaped not by speed alone, but by emotion, attention, and experience. The physics in the background and the feelings in your chest are not the same thing, but they rhyme. The universe tells you that time changes with motion and gravity. Your life tells you that time changes with awe and boredom, with fear and peace. Both stories hint that time is not as flat as a row of identical ticks. It swells and narrows. It can feel generous or tight. It can hold you gently or slide past your fingers. Even now, lying still, your thoughts can travel as far and as fast as they like. While your body is quiet, your mind can imagine almost anything, including the machinery quietly circling above your head. High over your ceilings and clouds, in the thin blue edge where the atmosphere fades, there are satellites, small, bright specks of metal you rarely see but often rely on. They move through a region where time flows just a little differently than it does on the ground. If you think about them for a moment, you might sense that difference. Above the mountains, above the highest winds and tallest storms, those satellites glide along their paths, looping around the planet again and again each day. They carry instruments, cameras, antennas, and, in some of them, exceptionally precise clocks. These clocks are so steady that they barely drift by a billionth of a second over long stretches of time. They are among the most faithful timekeepers humans have ever made. And yet, in orbit, they do not keep exactly the same time as the clocks resting on your bedside table. Two gentle forces are shaping them. One is speed. The satellites race around Earth at thousands of kilometers per hour. Because of this motion, special relativity says their time should slow down compared with ours. The other is gravity. Up there, they feel a little less of Earth's pull than we do at the surface. According to general relativity, time flows faster where gravity is weaker, so speed tries to slow their clocks. Weaker gravity tries to speed them up. When you compare all the effects carefully, the second one wins. The net result is that the clocks in many of those satellites tick just a little faster than clocks on Earth by about 38 microseconds per day. A tiny smear of time, far smaller than a blink, but not small enough to ignore. The systems that use those clocks, like GPS, depend on exquisite timing. Signals travel at light speed. Any error in the clocks grows quickly into an error in distance. If we let that small difference accumulate, your phone's map could be wrong by kilometers within a day. You might be standing in your kitchen while the blue dot insists you're out in a field. Roads and rivers would drift away from their real locations. Planes, ships, and hikers would be led astray. So before the satellites ever begin their work, their onboard clocks are set to tick a tiny bit slow, pre-corrected for the effects of relativity. And once they're up there, ground stations constantly listen, compare, and adjust, bringing spaceborne time and earthbound time into harmony. Each time you open a map app, your device catches signals from multiple satellites, notes when each signal arrived, and uses the differences to figure out where you are. Those calculations work only because we respect the bending of time and gently fold it into our models. In this quiet way, Einstein's thoughts from a tram over a century ago guide you as you walk down a street or follow a trail. It isn't only navigation. Many of the hidden systems that keep your world coordinated lean on these orbital clocks. Banks use precise timestamps to record transactions in the right order. Power grids depend on synchronization to keep electricity flowing smoothly. Financial markets, communication networks, and scientific observatories all benefit from loyal pulses of time beamed down from the sky, each one shaped by speed and gravity. The satellites overhead are not just machinery. They are small, steady reminders that time is not the same everywhere, that even a few hundred kilometers of height can change its pace. They circle constantly, always falling around the Earth rather than into it, flashing their quiet signals while you cook or read or rest. You rarely think of them, yet you live inside the web they weave. If you like, you can imagine yourself rising calmly toward them, not in a rocket, just in your mind. Up through your ceiling, past the rooftops and treetops, through cool layers of air into thinner, colder blue. Clouds drop away beneath you. The horizon curves. Stars sharpen into clear points. Somewhere nearby, a small metal body glides by, no louder than a thought. Up here, your sense of time might feel almost the same, but the equations would quietly disagree. Your seconds would loosen, flowing just a fraction more quickly than the seconds on the ground. You would be sharing the satellite's perspective, where gravity is a little weaker and the rhythm of time just slightly altered. Then, as gently as you rose, you drift back down through the sky, past the satellites, through the thinning blue, into the soft air and familiar darkness of your room. You carry nothing visible with you, and yet something has shifted. You can feel that even the time in your own breathing and your own heartbeat is part of a wider pattern, one that bends and curves and adjusts from the edge of light speed all the way down to the pillow beneath your head. Your breath settles into its slow, familiar rhythm. Thoughts drift farther apart, not because anything has been lost, but because there is more room inside each moment now. And with that space, you sense again that time is not a hard, clicking line. It is a breeze that changes as it crosses hills and valleys, thickened by gravity, stretched by motion, softened by memory. You carry your own version of that breeze wherever you go, but you are not alone in it. Machines keep time, planets keep time, even light itself keeps time in the distance it crosses. Now imagine not watching the seconds at all. No clocks, no numbers glowing in the dark. Time is not something you measure, it is something you feel. Instead of a schedule, it becomes a kind of map, a map drawn in how far light has traveled and how long it takes for a distant star to quietly say hello. Picture yourself floating over a vast, calm ocean with no waves and no wind. There is no clear horizon, just a deep blue that fades into sky. Space can be like that too, still, silent, apparently empty. Yet, just like the sea, it is full of depth and distance. Every direction leads somewhere. Every direction holds a history. That history is written in light. You are not drifting in emptiness. You are moving through a living chart, not painted on paper or glowing on a screen, but traced by countless beams of light traveling through the dark, each one whispering where it came from and how long it has been on the way. Every star you see in the night sky is not simply a bright dot. It is a little window into the past, a memory suspended above you. When you look up, you never see a star as it is in this exact moment. You see it as it was years, decades, centuries ago. Because even at the universe's top speed, light still needs time to reach you. This is how the cosmos tells you where things are, not just by their position, but by the age of their light. Distance and time are woven together in every glimmer. You can walk slowly through this map with your mind. Start close to home. Our sun's light takes a little more than 8 minutes to travel from its surface to Earth. So every sunrise, every shimmering reflection on water, every shadow moving across your wall is made of light that left the sun minutes before you see it. Without noticing, you are always living a tiny step in the past. Now let your thoughts stretch outward. Light from the moon takes a little more than 1 second to arrive. From Jupiter, it needs tens of minutes. From the nearest star beyond the sun, Proxima Centauri, its journey lasts more than 4 years. Look farther still. The pale glow of distant galaxies is made of light that began to travel billions of years ago, long before our species existed, long before your name was ever imagined. Each distance is also a time. Each time is also a distance. Space becomes a kind of memory, and memory becomes something you can point toward in the sky. This is why astronomers say they are looking back in time when they observe the universe. Their telescopes do not simply look far away. They look long ago. Galaxies appear as they were in their youth. Some stars they study may already have faded or exploded, yet their last light is still in flight, still crossing the dark, still arriving here as a final message. In that way, the universe feels a little like a library made of light. Astronomers learn to read it. They trace how far each signal has traveled. They build rough timelines from the brightness and color of stars. They sketch the story of cosmic expansion and collapse, using only what light has chosen to share. But you do not have to be a scientist to feel the heart of this. You only need to look up or close your eyes and imagine what it means for a single photon to journey toward you. You can follow that one photon in your mind. It leaves the surface of a star and slips into space, weaving through the gravity of other stars and planets, threading past clouds of dust, passing uncounted worlds without ever touching them. It does not tire. It does not slow. It simply continues until one evening it lands softly on your eye. A molecule in your retina responds. A small electrical signal flickers along a nerve. Somewhere in your brain, that signal becomes a tiny note of awareness, a sense of faint starlight, perhaps a feeling of wonder or calm. In that moment, the photon becomes part of your inner map. Your body receives it. Your mind includes it. You place yourself, without thinking, inside the universe's story. You are not just in the map, you are made from it. The elements in your bones and blood were born in ancient stars that burned and died long before Earth became what it is now. Their light once streamed out into space. Their explosions seeded clouds of gas that eventually formed new stars, planets, and you. You are built from the ashes of starlight. Because distance and time are entwined, the universe needed a new kind of measurement to describe them together. That is where the light year comes in. A light year is not just a year of your life. nor simply a stretch of empty space. It is the distance light travels in one Earth year, about 10 trillion kilometers. It is part measurement, part story. When someone says a star is 1,000 light years away, they are saying its light began this journey 1,000 years ago, when people were telling time by shadows and stars alone, while generations were born and died, while languages changed and cities rose and fell. That light was simply moving forward, unwavering. Tonight, it might end its 1,000-year journey on the surface of your eye, or on a rooftop, or on the quiet glass of a window. Thinking of starlight this way can change how you feel the night around you. The darkness becomes less like an empty backdrop and more like a slow, patient conversation. The beams of light reaching you carry news from the distant past. Your heartbeat and breath live in the present. The two meet in a single moment. Old light, new awareness. You can pause inside that meeting. Inhale softly. Exhale even more slowly. You are not racing across this cosmic map. You are floating gently within it. Your position in the universe is not just a set of coordinates. It is also defined by how far light has traveled to reach you, and by how far your own light is traveling outward. Because you shine, too. Every warm body does. The heat that radiates from your skin is a kind of light infrared, waves your eyes cannot see, but which night vision cameras and certain animals can feel. The atoms in you vibrate and send out tiny whispers of energy. You are not just surrounded by light, you are contributing to it. Even your brain, in its quiet activity, produces delicate electric patterns that dance with faint electromagnetic waves. You are woven into the traffic of light all the time. In this way, you are not only reading the map, you are writing on it. The universe is not recording only the grand flares of stars and the collisions of galaxies. It is also holding, in its own subtle way, the warmth of your presence, the glow of cities, the radio waves of old broadcasts, the faint signals of deep space probes launched by curious hands. As you let that idea settle, time begins to feel different again. It is no longer something that simply passes by while you stand still. It flows through you, the way ancient beams left their stars long ago and now come to rest on your skin. The map of light and time is never finished. Every new flash, every distant explosion, every pulse from a turning neutron star adds another layer. Every breath you take, every bit of warmth you give off, leaves a small, quiet mark of your being here, now. Boundaries aren't always cages. Sometimes they're soft edges that give things a shape. The speed of light is one of those edges. It quietly tells the universe how fast anything can influence anything else, how quickly a cause can reach its effect. Without that limit, events could smear together and lose their order. With it, reality settles into a rhythm. Ripples of gravity, faint cosmic radiation, signals from distant galaxies, everything moves at or below this same speed. It's the steady beat that keeps the song from falling apart. And from that soft boundary, another question naturally rises, gentle and curious. If light can carry memory, if it can stretch distances into time and turn time into a map, what happens right at the edge of its world? What happens if, instead of only watching light arrive, you try to imagine existence at its speed, where the usual flow of time begins to melt away? That is the threshold where our ordinary experience ends, and the universe's deeper strangeness begins. Because of this limit, you are bound to a certain way of experiencing time. You can't jump forward into next week. You can't walk backward into yesterday. Your life unfolds in order, one breath, one heartbeat, one sunrise at a time. Light can't drag you into the past or pull you into the future, but it can let the past reach you. Each time you look up at the night sky, you're surrounded by echoes. Some echoes are young, only minutes old, like moonlight. Some have been flying for thousands of years, from stars whose names you may never know. Some began their journey before humans told stories around fires, before forests grew thick, before oceans settled into their present shapes. All of those beams, arriving now at your eyes or at the mirror of a telescope, share something strange. From their own point of view, they haven't taken any time at all to get here. They carry no feeling of distance or duration. They simply arrive, bearing the truth of a journey they never felt. It's easy to think light remembers nothing. Maybe it doesn't, but it doesn't need to. You remember, you notice. You feel the long pause between the moment a photon leaves a star and the moment it touches you. You are the one who marks the glow and thinks, "This has been traveling so long to find me." In that way, you become the heartbeat of time, watching something that, in its own frame, never heard a single tick. You give meaning to the pause that isn't a pause. As you rest tonight, under the same rules that guide every sunbeam, another question can drift in softly. If light does not feel time, what happens when it meets gravity? If time halts at light speed, what does it do at the edge of a black hole, where even light cannot escape? Let that question float for a while like a feather between breaths, and then slip back, for a moment, into the perspective of a single photon. Now, you're not standing beside the beam. You are the beam. You are not made of mass. You have no weight, no muscles to tire, no bones to carry. The instant you are born, perhaps deep in a star's blazing heart, perhaps in the warm flicker of a candle, you are already moving. There is no gentle ramping up, no warm-up. You move at light speed, completely and immediately. At that speed, time does something that ordinary intuition can't follow. It doesn't just slow down. From your point of view, it disappears. There is no waiting between here and there, no stretch of in-between. You are emitted, you cross the gap, and you arrive in one seamless, paper-thin now. In that sense, you are not a long journey. You are a connection, a bridge drawn between two places that, for you, touch. Someone far away can measure your path. They can say you spent 8 minutes flying from the sun to Earth, or 4 years from a nearby star, or billions of years from a distant galaxy. They can write those numbers in a notebook and call them the age of your light. But none of that belongs to you. You don't age on the way. No clock rides with you. This is one of the quiet truths of relativity. For anything moving at the speed of light, time itself does not pass. That doesn't make light cold or distant. It makes it a kind of ruler. Light sets the scale for how quickly information can move, how long it takes for one event to affect another. Every other clock, whether it lives in the vibration of an atom, the ticking of an instrument in orbit, or the rhythm of a human heart, is ultimately tied back to this fixed pace. Light does not live inside time the way you do, but it gives time its structure. There is also no resting state for a photon. It never stops to catch its breath. It's always on the way from somewhere to somewhere else. In that constant motion, there's something quietly generous. Every warmth you've ever felt from sunshine, every glint on a river, every soft reflection in a loved one's eyes, all of that is made of light. These tiny, timeless messengers never experience waiting, yet they arrive whenever they can, carrying energy and information to anyone who happens to be there. You are wrapped in them more than you notice. They don't store their own memories, but they help you build yours. They move through a universe full of ticking clocks without hearing any of them, and yet they help keep those clocks in step. It's almost as if light appears just long enough for you to see it, and in that seeing, your sense of time sharpens and begins again. Even now, in this quiet room, light is touching you. Some of it is the soft infrared glow of your own body, slipping away into the dark. Some is a faint drizzle left over from the universe's earliest days. Some comes from street lamps, distant windows, or the last screen you glanced at. All of it moves around you and through you with no delay, asking nothing, aging not at all. When you sit with this for a moment, time starts to feel less like a hard grid and more like a relationship. You can sense that it stretches and shrinks with speed and gravity, that something as small as a photon can carry the record of a billion-year journey without ever aging. Time, then, is not only a sequence of events, it is the way motion and stillness talk to one another. Light, always in motion, shows you what remains when one side of that conversation steps outside of time. A photon rushes and feels no duration. A person waits and feels every second. Together, they outline the same mystery from opposite ends, one existence bound to time, one untouched by it, both forever woven into each other's stories. Maybe that's part of why light feels so beautiful. It hints at a way of being your body will never reach, but your mind can glimpse in quiet moments like this, when you see a star and realize you are meeting light that never knew time, or feel warmth and realize you are holding energy that crossed a distance without ever feeling the crossing. You don't have to resolve this mystery. It's enough to rest inside it. Let your breath slow. Let the edges of the day grow soft. Time, for you, is still flowing, but its grip loosens a little as you imagine stepping far enough back to see the whole pattern at once. Beneath all of this, beneath photons, clocks, and heartbeats, there's a deeper fabric holding everything together. You're lying down now, wrapped in softness. Your room is still. It feels as if nothing is moving, yet beneath the floor, beneath the ground, beneath the air itself, there is an invisible field in which everything is always in motion. It has no color and no texture, but it carries planets and light and you. This is space-time, not space in one corner and time in another, but a single woven thing that holds every step you take and every second you live. You are never outside space-time. You drift through it constantly, like a small boat on a slow, unseen river. You don't need oars or sails. Your existence is enough. Imagine, just for a moment, that this river is what lies beneath your back right now. It runs through your bed, through the walls, into the soil, through oceans and clouds, and out beyond the atmosphere, reaching all the way to distant galaxies. There is nowhere it is not. When something heavy rests in this fabric, a planet, a star, a black hole, the fabric curves around it, not with sharp folds, but with gentle dips and valleys. Those curves are what you feel as gravity. Planets follow those curves and become orbits. Moons follow them and circle worlds. Light itself follows them, bending around galaxies the way a leaf follows the bend of a stream. Sometimes, when very massive objects move or collide, they send out ripples in space-time gravitational waves that travel across the cosmos, stretching and squeezing the fabric ever so slightly as they pass. They're unimaginably faint. You don't feel them in your body. Your walls don't tremble, And yet delicate instruments have begun to hear them, catching tiny changes in distance as they roll through. You can imagine one of those ripples passing through your room. It wouldn't rattle your bones. It would only adjust the pace of time and the shape of space by a whisper, then move on. Space-time cradles everything without ever raising its voice. You're not sitting on top of it or walking beside it. You are part of it, woven into its threads. This is why motion changes how time flows, and why gravity changes how clocks tick. You're never moving only through space or only through time. You are always moving through both together, following a path the universe quietly lays out for you. That path is sometimes called your world line, a gentle name for the trace your life leaves in space-time. Even when you lie perfectly still, your world line continues, because time moves forward. If you could somehow step outside and look back, you might see every object as a line painted through this four-dimensional sea, 3 directions of space and 1 of time. Some lines would be smooth, others tangled. Yours would be there too, winding quietly through all your days and nights. If space-time were perfectly flat and empty, everything would drift along straight, unbending paths. But matter and energy curve it, so nothing truly moves in a straight line. Planets orbit stars because they are following these curves, falling around rather than into. Even you, as you rest here, are following a curve shaped by Earth's mass. This endless falling is not danger, it is grace. It keeps your feet on the ground. It keeps the moon circling us instead of drifting away. It lets you pour water into a cup and then lie down without floating off your bed. Gravity is not a hidden hand pulling you down. It is the geometry of space-time, quietly suggesting which way your world line should turn. The geometry is always changing as things move, and as the universe expands. Even the places that seem empty are not perfectly still. The fabric is always adjusting, always listening to what exists within it. You can think of it less as a fixed stage and more as a responsive dance floor. The dancers, stars, planets, people shape the floor with their steps, and the floor guides the dancers in return. Lying here, you are one of those dancers. Even if you barely move, you cannot exist without space-time noticing. Your presence changes it, however slightly, and its currents carry you whether you are awake or drifting. Even light, racing at its unmatched speed, follows the curves of this fabric as faithfully as a leaf follows the flow of a river. You may feel very still tonight, but your world line is always extending, your small boat always drifting. The planet turns, the solar system orbits, the galaxy wheels onward, and space-time holds it all. There is nowhere you need to go. The river is already carrying you, gently, through the dark. You're floating in that soft place between waking and sleep, and inside the calm a small question unfolds. If space-time can bend gently under your body, under oceans and cities and stars, what happens when it bends too far? What if something presses so deeply into that invisible river that it folds in on itself? Quietly, you let your thoughts drift toward that possibility, toward gravity's strangest creation, the black hole. There is no rush here, no need for fear, only a curiosity as soft as starlight, as slow as your breathing. Imagine gliding far from Earth, past the moon, beyond the familiar paths of the planets, into a region where the sky grows thin and gravity feels unusual. Light still travels, stars still shine, but beneath it all, time itself is being pulled into unfamiliar shapes. Ahead lies a place where space-time is stretched so steeply that even light, the fastest thing we know, cannot climb out once it strays too close. We call it a black hole, though it isn't a hole like a tunnel. It's a region where matter has collapsed into an impossibly small, dense state. A massive star burns for millions of years, held up by the pressure of its own fusion. When the fuel is gone and nothing remains to push outward, some stars fold in under their own weight. What's left behind is compact and heavy beyond imagination, pressing into space-time so strongly that it carves a deep, steep well in the fabric. Hold a quiet picture. You are in a safe orbit around this black hole, far enough not to be dragged inward, close enough to feel its pull. You're weightless, watching. Nearby, a friend has chosen to fall inward, gliding toward the dark border that marks the edge of no return, the event horizon. It isn't a solid wall or a glowing ring, but a boundary in space-time, the place beyond which no signal, no light, no message can ever reach you again. To your friend, the fall feels continuous. Physics still holds. Their heart beats, thoughts form, the small clock on their wrist ticks as always. They feel themselves approaching the darkness, moving through space like any traveler. But from where you hover, something very different appears. At first, you see them falling as you'd expect, their body drifting inward, their light flickering steadily. Then, the rhythm begins to stretch. Each second that passes for them takes longer to appear on your own clock. Their descent seems to slow. Their movements lengthen, like a film played more and more slowly. Their hand reaches out, their body continues downward, but the motion thickens and almost stops. As they near the event horizon, time dilation becomes extreme. From your point of view, their clock has nearly frozen. Their last wave, their last glimmer of reflected light, hangs just above the dark edge. They never quite seem to cross it. To you, they become a fading figure, their light dragged into longer, redder wavelengths by gravity, until they disappear into the black. For your friend, there is no freezing, no invisible ledge. Their time feels normal. They cross the horizon without feeling a bump, noticing no special line. For them, the journey simply continues inward. For you, their final approach has stretched into an endless moment. This is gravity's quiet message. The stronger the gravitational pull, the more slowly time flows for anything deep inside it, as seen from the gentler outskirts. Near the horizon, time, viewed from far away, appears almost to stop. It doesn't vanish, but it slips out of reach, folded into a region of space-time you can no longer access. Even light feels this grip. Photons that try to climb away lose energy as they go. Their color shifts toward red, toward longer, lower energy waves. The closer they begin to the horizon, the more they are stretched. From too near, they would need infinite effort to escape, and so they don't. Light, which usually races effortlessly across the cosmos, finds itself slowed, drained, and finally trapped. Here, gravity isn't just a gentle curve, it's a cliff. Yet black holes are not monsters. They don't stalk the universe hunting stars. They are simply what happens when enough mass gathers in one place and space-time responds. They show that the fabric of reality is flexible and that time is not a single rigid tempo. Under enormous gravity, it can stretch almost to stillness. You are more connected to these strange objects than it may seem. At the center of our own Milky Way rests a supermassive black hole, millions of times the mass of our Sunday. It does not tear the galaxy apart. It sits like a deep anchor, curving space-time so that stars orbit around it in long, graceful paths. Our solar system traces its journey around this central darkness. quietly guided by a presence we cannot see directly, but can read in the motions of stars. For now, stay in your imagined orbit, looking toward the blackness. There is no sharp outline to see, only a round absence where starlight suddenly stops. Around it, a glowing swirl of gas and dust spirals inward, heating and shining as it falls. Even that whirlpool moves through elongated seconds. Processes that would be quicker elsewhere are slowed in the deep gravity well. You might wonder, if you yourself crossed the event horizon, what would happen? You would not hit a wall or see a sign. You would simply keep falling along the curves space-time provides. Inside, our equations begin to act strangely, pointing toward densities and curvatures that grow without limit, a singularity where matter is crushed into a point. Whether that picture is complete or whether something softer lies there, we do not yet know. No signal returns from beyond the horizon to explain it. This uncertainty is not chaos. It is the edge of understanding. Black holes remind us that the universe is not required to match our intuition. It only has to follow its own rules. And it does, even in places we cannot see. And in their quiet severity, they offer a lesson that reaches back to you on your pillow. They show that time is not the same for everyone. How you move, where you are, and how much gravity holds you all shape the tempo of your hours. Near a strong gravitational field, clocks slow. Far away, they run a little faster. The universe is full of different rhythms playing at once. Tonight, you are very far from any black hole. Your time flows easily. Your breath is steady. Seconds seem to pass one after another in a simple line. Yet somewhere out in the velvet dark, near the hearts of galaxies, time is moving differently, stretched by immense gravity. If time can almost stop in one place and flow freely in another, you might begin to wonder about your own time. Is your now truly shared with anyone else, or is each moment quietly personal? Let that thought guide you gently back to yourself. You are resting, wrapped in your own breath and your own thoughts. As you hover on the edge of sleep, you are experiencing time in a way no one else ever has or ever will. Not because nature's laws change for you, but because your path through space-time is uniquely yours. Your heart beats at its own pace. Your memories stack in their own order. Your world line, the trail you leave through space and time, curves in an unrepeatable pattern. Even when two people share a room, a conversation, or a lifetime, they do not quite share the same now. Relativity tells us there is no single universal moment that covers everyone at once. There are only many different nows, one for each observer, shaped by motion and gravity and distance. In everyday life, the differences are tiny, too small to feel, like faint ripples in an otherwise calm sea. But they are there. You and I are connected through these words, but we are not perfectly in step. Your breath settles into its own rhythm. My pauses belong to another place, another clock. The device beside your bed keeps time for you. Elsewhere, another clock keeps time for me. They tick at almost, but not exactly, the same pace. The paths we have taken, the heights at which we live, even the difference between your head and your feet, all nudge our seconds apart by unimaginably small amounts. Within your own body, time is slightly uneven. Your head is a little farther from Earth's center than your toes and feels a bit less gravity. That means, according to relativity, that time flows a tiny bit faster near your scalp than near your feet. The difference is too small to sense, but it's there. Your body stretched across slightly different clocks. Your heart, your lungs, your brain, your cells. Each follows its own subtle line through space-time. It might sound lonely at first, as if you were sealed inside a private stream of time, but if you listen more softly, it becomes intimate instead. Each heartbeat, each thought, each blink is a point on a timeline that belongs only to you. No one else has walked your path. No one else has felt time with your particular mixture of motion, gravity, joy, fear, boredom, and wonder. Even someone lying beside you carries their own rhythm. Their heartbeats fall at different intervals. Their dreams arrive at different moments. Their world line runs next to yours for a while, but never fully overlaps. You can reach for the same glass of water, share the same joke, fall asleep at the same hour, and still be reaching and laughing and drifting through different clocks. In this gentle separation, there is beauty. Each moment you live is yours, unaltered, unrepeatable, and yet your life is woven through with connection. We mark birthdays and seasons. We arrange calls and meetings. We agree on hours and dates, building shared time out of many slightly different ticking hearts. Our schedules and calendars are like a song sung by many voices, each with its own pitch and delay, blending into a kind of harmony. To live your own time means to notice how your memories, your aging, your sense of how long something felt are all tied to your personal journey. A quiet afternoon can feel spacious and long. A joyful evening can vanish in what seems like a breath. Looking back, some years stretch out in your mind like whole landscapes, while others fold into a single image or sentence. These inner clocks layer themselves over the physical ones, creating a shifting experience of time that belongs to you alone. Inside you, many rhythms play at once: the slow swing of your sleep-wake cycle, the steady beating of your heart, the patterns of cells dividing and repairing, the emotional pulses of excitement and calm. No other person carries exactly the same arrangement. Your tempo changes as you move, as you rest, as you learn and forget. So as you lie here, listening and drifting, you are being carried forward through your own private version of now. I am with you in thought, but slightly off to one side in time. That is all right. What matters is that, for a little while, our separate rhythms have woven into something that feels shared. Tonight, you don't have to match anyone else's pace. You don't have to compare your minutes to another's. You can let your time be entirely your own, soft, unhurried, exactly as long or as brief as it feels from the inside. With each breath, your world line stretches a little farther along the river of space-time, guided by gravity, shaped by motion, and soothed by the quiet pull of dreams. And if, in the gentle dark, a new question flickers about what truly marks each tick, about how we measure time when every clock must move and every signal must travel, you can simply let it rest beside you like another slow breath. Somewhere inside that question waits a simple image, a beam of light bouncing between two mirrors in perfect silence, counting out the moments not with sound or numbers, but with motion alone. While you lie here and let your own inner clocks sink into their nighttime rhythm, let yourself drift back into the dream of motion, not the hurried motion of running down a street, but the deep, quiet kind that belongs to space itself. Imagine you're gliding again through the black velvet between the stars. There is no sound from your ship, no rattling metal or roaring engines, only the feeling of smooth, effortless movement. Out here, you are the traveler, not the person standing on Earth, watching days turn, but the one who moves fast enough for time itself to respond. Inside your ship, everything feels ordinary. You blink in the same rhythm. Your chest rises and falls in the same slow pattern. Yet, as your speed begins to climb, something hidden starts to change. At first, your motion is gentle. If someone on Earth could see your clock, it would almost match theirs. A second for you would be a second for them. But as you accelerate, your path through space-time leans away from theirs. From your own point of view, nothing is different. Your soup cools at its usual pace. Still, if that person on Earth compared clocks, they would see your seconds stretching. Each moment between ticks would grow a little longer. This is not a story trick. It is one of the most carefully tested truths of physics. When you move very fast, truly fast, close to the speed of light, time slows for you relative to those who stay behind. Your journey can span huge distances, yet your own clock will record fewer hours and days than theirs. Your life becomes slightly elastic. You are stretched across space while your personal time thins. Imagine choosing a destination, a star many light years away. From Earth, astronomers calculate that the trip will take decades. People watching from home would see your ship crawl across their charts, bound by the universe's speed limit. But from inside the cabin, those same years might compress. Your clock, ticking more slowly than theirs, would mark a shorter span. Neither view is wrong. From your frame, it is their time that races. From theirs, it is yours that lingers. Time is not a single river flowing identically for everyone. It is more like a landscape of streams, each channel shaped by motion and gravity. You are not breaking time, you are following a different current through it. There is a quiet trade at the heart of this. The faster you move through space, the more slowly you move through time. You can picture it as a kind of budget. Your motion through space-time has a fixed total. Move gently through space, and most of that motion goes into flowing through moments. Move rapidly through space, and more of the total is spent on distance, leaving less for time. You live most of your days near the slow in space, fast in time end of this balance, walking and resting at ordinary speeds. In your imagined ship, you begin to slide toward the other side. 90% of light speed, 99.9. To someone staying behind, your time has become thick and slow. A day for you might correspond to many days for them. A week for you could match years back home. Inside the ship, nothing feels strange. All of your inner clocks slow together. Your pulse, your breath, your thoughts, the ticking of your watch, everything stays in tune. For you, a second is still simply a second. Only when you come home and lay your timeline next to Earth's does the gap show itself. This soft bending of time has already touched real lives. Astronauts orbiting Earth at high speed age just a little less than those who remain on the ground. The difference is tiny, a fraction of a second, but it is real. If your ship could reach much higher speeds and hold them for years, the effect would grow dramatic. You could go away for what feels like a short part of your life and return to a world that has moved far ahead without you. It is a gentle form of time travel, smooth and inevitable whenever something moves quickly. Even now, lying still, you are part of this story. You spin with Earth. You orbit the Sunday. You sail with the galaxy through the wider universe. Each motion has its own small influence on your time. You are never completely at rest. Your world line, your path through space-time, is always stretching in a pattern that belongs only to you. Let that truth cradle you. There is no single proper way to move through time, no correct speed. There is only the path you happen to take and the quiet you manage to find inside it. Breathe in and feel, if only in imagination, the steady curve of the planet beneath you. Somewhere far above, stars keep their distant watch. You are moving with them, a tiny traveler whose seconds are quietly unique. From this cosmic motion, let your mind drift back to something small and familiar, the near weightlessness of a feather resting on your fingertips. Picture it now. It lies on your palm so lightly you could almost forget it is there. For a moment, nothing moves. Then, in your imagination, you open your hand and let go. You do not toss it, you simply stop holding it. The feather begins to fall, but not like a stone. It turns and dips, rocking as it descends. Air folds around it, slows it, catches and releases it again. The fall becomes a dance. And yet, beneath that softness, Earth's quiet message is always the same: this way. It may not seem at first that this gentle motion has much to do with time, but it does. Everything that moves through space also moves through time, and gravity reaches both. The feather's slow descent is shaped not only by air and weight, but by the way Earth curves space-time underneath. Our planet presses into the fabric, and that fabric tells the feather how to move. Instead of imagining an invisible hand pulling downward, you can picture the feather gliding along a bent path in a landscape you cannot see. Air makes that journey playful and slow, but the route itself is carved by gravity. Feathers, stones, raindrops, planets, they all follow these curves. Now move the feather in your mind to the moon. There is no thick air there to cushion its fall. The moon's gravity is weaker than Earth's, but in a vacuum, a feather and a hammer dropped together fall side by side. Astronauts once showed this, letting both objects fall and watching them meet the ground together. It isn't an object's heaviness that decides how it falls. It is the shape of space-time beneath it. Gravity does more than bend paths in space. It bends time as well. Closer to Earth's center, time flows a little more slowly. The difference is too tiny to feel, but not too tiny to exist. Your feet experience time at a slightly slower pace than your head. A clock on a mountain ticks a little faster than an identical clock at sea level. The feather drifting from your hand toward the ground moves through layers of space-time where time's rhythm changes by microscopic amounts. You cannot see this gradient, but you can hold its image. It is as if a net of slightly slower seconds rests nearer the ground, and everything that falls is sliding gently into that slower rhythm. The feather is not only changing its position, it is moving through a landscape of when as well as where. Think of how often floating things appear in dreams and art feathers, leaves, snowflakes. They stand for lightness, for something unhurried. Perhaps they also echo this deeper truth, that gravity is not only about pressing down, it is about shaping the flow of time, deciding how long things take, how quickly events unfold, how slowly you are allowed to sink into rest. You, too, are always falling not only downward but forward through moments, guided by the curved space-time around you. Planets fall around the Sunday, the moon falls around Earth. Even light, passing near a massive star, bends inward. Everything is following the same quiet geometry. This falling is not failure. It is the way the universe holds things together. You may remember times when your own world felt slower. The hush after fresh snow, the deep breath under a sky full of stars, the stillness after rain. Those moments are shaped by gravity too, by your body's place in Earth's curve, by the calm in your nervous system. The clocks haven't changed, but your awareness has opened, and seconds feel larger. Let your breath match the feather now. Inhale and imagine it rising, held for a moment by a warm current of air. Exhale and feel it sink, circling lazily toward the ground. You are not rushing anywhere. You are falling gently through your own path of time, curved by gravity, softened by rest, held by this moment. From the feather, your attention can drift inward. To the most intricate place time is felt, your own mind. If your eyes are not already closed, you can let them close now. Notice your breathing not as a number of seconds, but as a feeling, a tide moving in and out. Now imagine taking a single second of your life and stretching it out in awareness. Outside, a second is almost nothing. It passes between heartbeats, between footsteps. But inside your brain, 1 second is wide and busy. Picture the beginning of that second. A point of light touches your eye, starlight through a window, perhaps, or the dim glow of a screen. That light is made of photons, tiny units of energy. In far less than a blink, one photon slips through your pupil and reaches the retina at the back of your eye. There, delicate cells called rods and cones catch it and turn its arrival into a tiny electrical signal. In a fraction of that second, the signal travels along the optic nerve toward the back of your brain. Neurons in your visual cortex begin to respond, firing in patterns that, together, will become the sense of an image. At nearly the same time, other regions prepare to join in areas that handle attention, memory, and feeling. They compare this new flicker of light with millions of moments stored before. Is it familiar? Is it comforting? Is it something to ignore? Within the span of that 1 second, your brain has taken raw light and started to turn it into an experience. If instead of light, you hear a soft word, the story is similar. Vibrations in the air move your eardrum, nudge 3 tiny bones, and send waves through the fluid of your inner ear. Hair-like cells sway with that motion and turn it into electrical pulses that climb toward your brain. Before the second ends, your mind has recognized the sound, given it meaning, and wrapped it in feeling. And deep beneath both sight and sound, thoughts of your own are rising. A memory, a question, an image half-formed. You feel it only as a thought, but underneath, tens of thousands of neurons are changing their connections, lighting up and quieting down. Each spark at a synapse is a small decision. In a single second, your brain can make a vast number of such tiny shifts. From the outside, this second looks like any other mark on a clock. From the inside, it is a whole landscape of activity. Light becoming awareness, sound becoming understanding, signals becoming feeling. Your consciousness is not a smooth beam. It is more like a string of brief illuminations, each one lighting a little patch of now, all of them close enough together that they feel continuous. All of this happens inside the same space-time that carries planets and black holes and feathers. Time can feel elastic in danger or in awe, but beneath that changing perception, seconds still flow, each one holding its quiet storm of activity within your mind. Let yourself rest in this one. No need to chase the next or cling to the last. Just this breath, this slow heartbeat, this small cluster of thoughts passing through. For this moment, you are a traveler through space and time, through gravity and light, through your own inner world, all meeting inside a single, gentle second that will never repeat in quite the same way again. Close your eyes not to shut the world away, but to let a quieter space open inside you. Let your breath wander in and out at its own gentle pace, like small waves finding the shore. In that rhythm, you may notice something subtle. A tiny gap between one breath and the next, between one moment and the one that follows. It's as if there is a place that does not quite belong to time at all. Between every second you've ever lived, there has always been this something else. Not noise, not action, just a stillness. The space between. It doesn't show up on a clock, no gears turn for it. No digits flash its presence. It isn't empty, and it isn't frozen. It's simply unmeasured. Your mind brushes it now and then, when you lose your train of thought, when you hover on the edge of waking, when a sigh seems to carry more than air. For a heartbeat, you are not in one moment or the next. You're in the in-between. This space isn't a unit you can slice smaller and smaller, the way we split a second into milliseconds and microseconds. You can keep cutting, make the pieces of time tinier and more precise, and still, there is something that refuses to be caught by measurement, because you don't truly live by seconds. You live by moments, and moments are not defined by the ticking of a mechanism. They're defined by what they hold. A glance across a room, a quiet decision, the sound of your name spoken softly, a memory lighting up and then fading. Some moments stretch until they feel wide enough to rest in. Others flash by so quickly you only realize they mattered when you look back. The space between seconds is where these moments begin, and sometimes where they linger. It's the place where dreams first rise, where ideas approach before they find words, where you're not thinking yet, but you're not empty either. Your brain has its own version of this. Neurons fire in patterns, sending signals through delicate branches. Between bursts, there are tiny pauses where the next pattern gathers itself. You're not aware of those microscopic silences, but they matter. They allow you to reconsider, to change your mind, to turn a memory into a new idea instead of an old loop. Thought, pause. Thought, pause. Even your words follow this rhythm. We speak in beats and syllables, but what makes them understandable is the space between them. A sentence without pauses would be a blur. It's the quiet that shapes meaning, the silence that frames sound. Time works much the same way. Without the moments where nothing obvious happens, the parts you notice would smear together. You feel this most clearly when you're waiting and the seconds drag, or when you're deeply absorbed in music or laughter and they seem to disappear. In one case, the space between ticks feels wide and heavy. In the other, you live entirely inside it. You are still in time, but you are not counting it. You are resting in presence. You don't have to hold that space for long. It only needs to be enough for a breath that isn't rushed, a pause that isn't filled, a reminder that you are not just your list of tasks and your string of seconds. You are also the space that holds them. As you drift inward, there is nothing you need to accomplish. You are simply resting between one moment and the next, carried by a stillness that doesn't demand anything from you. When you listen in this way, another question can rise like a slow tide. If there is a space between the seconds of your life, is there also a boundary at the very beginning of time itself? If every moment you know is part of a flow, was there a first moment when the flow began? Let your breath soften, as if you were preparing not to travel far, but to travel deep into the past, not to childhood, not to ancient history, but beyond any human memory. Imagine floating in a darkness that is not quite darkness yet, because nothing exists to cast or block light. There are no stars, no planets, not even atoms. There are no clocks, no orbits, no before or after. And yet, in the picture our best science paints, This is where the story of time is about to begin. We give that beginning a simple name, the Big Bang, even though it wasn't really a bang in the way you might imagine. There was no empty space waiting to be filled. There was no air to carry sound. In that first instant, space itself began to expand. The universe unfolded from something smaller than we can truly picture into something large enough for light to move inside it. Not just matter and energy were born in that moment, but time itself. Before that opening, before has no meaning, because there was no time to put anything in. With the universe's first expansion, change began, and with change came the first hint of a ticking we now call time. The earliest fractions of a second were nothing like the gentle moments you know. The young universe was hot beyond imagination, crowded and fierce. Particles appeared and vanished in a storm. Energy collided with itself in every direction. Yet even in that chaos, there was rhythm. Things transforming into other things, conditions shifting from one state to the next. At its heart, that is what time really measures, not a substance that flows, but the order in which changes happen. In those first instants, quarks teamed up to become protons and neutrons, the tiny seeds from which atoms would later grow. The rules that guide how those particles behave were already in place. The balances that make chemistry and life possible were quietly set. Somewhere inside that first second, the future of galaxies and oceans and forests and you was set in motion. Not as a rigid script, but as a set of conditions, like the starting notes of a long improvisation. Left to itself, that newborn universe expanded and cooled. Within minutes, the first simple atomic nuclei formed. With more time, the fog thinned enough for light to travel freely. With still more time, matter gathered into clouds that collapsed into stars. Those stars forged heavier elements, lived, died, and exploded. New stars formed from their remnants, planets collected around them. On at least one world, life learned to sense time and wonder about it. When you lie here now, breathing and listening, you are living very far downstream from that first second. Yet you are made from its consequences. The atoms in your body were built in stars that would never have formed if the early universe had expanded differently. The regularities that let your heart beat and your neurons fire were written into reality's behavior when everything was still unimaginably dense and hot. You don't need to hold the equations in your mind to feel this connection. It's enough to know that there was a time when time itself began to unfold, and that long afterward, you arrived inside that unfolding. You are not outside of the universe's story of time. You are a chapter in it. From that stormy beginning, the universe kept expanding. The rate slowed, the temperature dropped, galaxies spun themselves into spirals. Somewhere in one of those spirals, a small star lit up, and around it, a planet cooled. And on that planet, eventually, someone lay down at night and wondered where time came from and where it might go. You are that someone now, and with that thought, another question can drift into view as gently as a cloud. If time had a beginning, could it also have an end? Not just an end for you, or for Earth, but an end for the universe's ability to change. Picture, if you like, a future so distant that our words for large numbers feel small beside it. The universe is still expanding, the distance between galaxies stretching wider. Stars burn their fuel and go dark. New stars form more rarely. White-hot embers cool into black, silent remnants. Even the great anchors of gravity, the black holes at galactic centers, very slowly leak away their energy and fade. What remains in that far future is not night as you know it, sprinkled with constellations, but a thin, cold darkness, almost empty of structure. Matter and energy spread so evenly that very little happens anymore. Time, as we define it, depends on change, on differences, on things moving from one state to another. If almost nothing changes, if all gradients have flattened, then time begins to lose its markers. It becomes hard to say what it even means for another second to pass. Physicists sometimes call this distant, smooth state heat death, not because everything is burning, but because everything has reached a kind of tired balance. It's a quiet, almost featureless end. Not a crash, not a sudden stop, just a very slow settling. You are unimaginably far from that future. It is not something to fear, only something to wonder about from a safe and cozy distance. Thinking about it can gently remind you that beginnings and endings are part of the same long breath. The universe inhaled into existence and, perhaps, one day will exhale into an immense stillness. You are made from that breath. Atoms in your hands and lungs were once inside stars. Even if time one day loses its meaning on a cosmic scale, its story is alive in you right now, in your memories, in tonight's dreams, in every quiet choice you make. You are living in the middle pages of the universe's book, not at the first line, not at the last, but in the moving, changing part where things are still happening. As you sink towards sleep, you can let this thought rest beside you. Time may have had a beginning and may one day fall quiet, but its meaning for you is here, in this unfolding moment. You don't need to hold the whole timeline in your mind. It's enough to feel that you are part of it, carried gently forward by laws that have been at work since the first second, listening to the soft tick of your own life inside the great ongoing hush of the cosmos. For a long time, people met time in simple ways. In the length of a shadow, the color of the sky at dusk, the slow cooling of embers. Then we began to build things that could remember time for us. Wooden wheels, careful teeth, hanging weights and swinging rods turned the sky's quiet rhythm into little sounds we could hear. Picture a tall clock in a town square. Inside it, gears catch and release each other in patient turns. A heavy weight pulls downward. A pendulum swings like a calm heartbeat. With each swing, a tooth slips forward. Tick, tick, time. Once silent, now has a voice. Clocks spread from towers to pocket watches, from ship decks to kitchen walls. They rang at dawn and closing time, helped trains meet tracks and friends meet one another. Yet every clock drifted. One town's noon did not match the next. Tiny imperfections slowly pulled them out of step. So we looked for a steadier rhythm, one that did not rust or tire. We turned to atoms, tiny, invisible, but astonishingly regular. Inside certain atoms, electrons hop between energy levels. Each hop releases a tiny flash of energy in a pattern that hardly ever changes. We learned to count that pattern. From that listening came the atomic clock. No ticking hands, no swinging weights, only atoms and light. A cloud of cesium atoms is coaxed into humming with microwaves. When the frequency is exactly right, the atoms respond in perfect rhythm. Those pulses, billions of times each second, now define what a second means. Almost everything you touch depends on that hidden heartbeat. GPS satellites, internet cables, banking systems, power grids, phone screens, telling you the time all lean on atoms, quietly counting in the background. Our civilization moves in step because those tiny particles keep such faithful rhythm. And still, for you, time is more than this. A second is never just a second. A moment in a waiting room is not the same as a moment under a clear sky with someone you love. A minute of pain stretches. A minute of laughter collapses into almost nothing. Clocks can divide the day into equal pieces, but they cannot tell you what those pieces hold. Clocks are our way of saying, let's meet here, let's notice this. We set alarms, circle dates, mark beginnings and returns. We don't control the flow, but we can choose where to stand together in it. Beneath all the machinery, the most important clocks you carry are alive. Feel your heartbeat, if you like, just for a moment. It slows when you feel safe. It races when you are afraid or excited. Your breath is another clock, rising and falling in slow waves. Your body temperature cools before sleep and warms before waking. Deep in your cells, genes switch on and off according to a daily script you never had to learn. You are full of rhythms, sleep and waking, hunger and fullness, alertness and drowsiness, all cycle through you like tides. You are not standing outside time, watching it pass. You are part of its machinery, a moving piece of its quiet design. So, as you drift toward sleep, you're not leaving time behind. You're entering one of its softest states. While you rest, your inner clocks keep working. They mend tissues, sort memories, sweep away some of the day's chemical clutter. Dreaming rises and falls in its own slow rhythm. You don't have to manage any of that. You don't have to count or keep track. You can let time hold you for a while. Let it move gently through your breath and heartbeat without needing your permission. And yet, a small, curious part of you might still ask, if our clocks are built from Earth's rhythms, from sunlight and gravity, from swinging metal and humming atoms, what happens when we leave those behind? How does time feel in the deep, airless quiet between stars? Take a soft breath and imagine your exhale drifting upward through ceiling and clouds into thin blue air. Follow it higher until even that blue fades. You pass the paths of planes and satellites, slip beyond the moon and Mars, into a dark so clear it feels like glass. Out here there is no air, so there is no sound, no bells, no ticking, no rustle of leaves. But time has not gone anywhere. Light still crosses space. Particles still tremble with energy. If you were floating here in a small spacecraft, your heart would still beat, your chest would still rise and fall. Your body would keep its own time, even if no sunrise ever arrived to greet it. Imagine yourself at a round window, looking out. The blackness outside is sprinkled with stars. Every point of light is a story already in progress. The photons reaching you left their stars a long time ago. Some began their journey before your species existed. To look far away is to look back in time. Because distances are so enormous, even light, the fastest signal in the universe, has to wait. When you see a distant galaxy, you see it as it was long ago. If someone there were watching us, they'd see Earth as it was when early humans chipped stone tools from river rocks. In such a place, clocks must be carried. There is no reliable sunrise or sunset to divide day from night. A sundial would be useless, so we bring atomic clocks into space. We time how long a radio signal takes to leave Earth, reach a distant spacecraft, and return. We predict when a probe will send a picture, and we listen at the right moment. Hours of travel for a single message, guided by synchronized seconds. Even close to home, on the International Space Station, time shows its flexible side. Astronauts move so fast, and feel slightly less gravity than you do on the ground. Their clocks and their bodies tick a tiny bit differently. It is a small effect, but real. Their time and yours do not quite match, even though you share the same planet. In orbit, the sun rises and sets many times each day, as the station circles Earth again and again. Lights inside must imitate morning and evening, so the body's inner clock does not drift too far. In deeper space, time would be something you carry inside more than something you see outside. We can feel a hint of that even here. In your room tonight, you are not weightless, and yet you are letting external clocks fade to the background. You are listening instead to the slower rhythm of breath and thought. And as that rhythm settles, another question may rise like a small, calm wave. What is all of this measuring really? What is time when you stop trying to trap it in numbers? We talk about time constantly. We say we're running out of it, or that we wish we had more. We spend it and save it and sometimes feel it slipping through our fingers. But if you try to hold time itself, there's nothing there. You can't pour it into a cup. You can't weigh it on a scale. It has no color or shape, yet everything that happens within it. One way to picture it is as another dimension, like length or height. In this picture, time is the when to space is where. Einstein added something deeper. Space and time, he suggested, are not separate things at all, but threads woven into a single fabric, space-time. Every event has coordinates in that fabric, 3 for space and 1 for time. Where matter and energy gather, the fabric curves. Planets and stars make dimples in space-time, and those curves tell everything how to move. In a curved region, time itself slows. A clock deep in a gravity well ticks more slowly than a clock far away. A fast-moving rocket ages more slowly than a quiet farmhouse. Time is not one single rhythm spread evenly over the cosmos. It plays at slightly different tempos depending on speed and gravity. And still, physics is only half the story. Time also lives in your awareness. Your brain notices change the movement of shadows, the cadence of a voice, the unfolding of your own thoughts. From these changes, it builds a sense of duration. When there is a lot happening, time can feel crammed and heavy. When very little changes, your sense of time can soften or even dissolve for a while. Think of a day when you were deeply absorbed in something you loved. Hours passed and you hardly noticed. Time was still moving, but your mind had stopped counting. Some scientists even wonder whether time, at the deepest level, is not fundamental at all, but something that emerges from relationships and change. In that view, the universe simply is, and time is the way a mind like yours walks through that landscape, arranging events into before and after. Whether or not that picture is right, you don't have to solve it tonight. It is enough to feel that time is both structure and story. It gives order to the universe, and you give meaning to the moments within that order. You are carried by time, and you also color it with your awareness. You are part of a process that began long before you and will continue long after. That thought can lead gently to another curiosity. If time is woven into the universe, can we say how long the universe itself has been unfolding? Does it have an age, the way you do? Astronomers have been listening for an answer in the faintest light of all. Across the sky, in every direction, there is a soft glow of microwaves, a leftover warmth from when the universe was young and hot and dense. This glow is called the cosmic microwave background. It began its journey when the universe was only a few 100,000 years old, when things had cooled just enough for light to travel freely. By studying this ancient afterglow, its temperature, its tiny ripples along with the motions of distant galaxies and the ages of old stars, we've pieced together a story. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old. Imagine those billions of years wound into a spiral. At the center, the universe is newborn, expanding quickly, filled with simple particles and intense light. After a few 100 million years, the first stars ignite. They burn, then explode, scattering heavier elements into space. New stars form from that enriched material. Galaxies gather. Somewhere in the arm of one such spiral, about 9 or 10 billion years after the beginning, a modest star lights up. Around it, dust and rock and ice come together. One small world forms at just the right distance for liquid water to pool at its surface. We call that world Earth. On that cooling sphere, time takes on new flavors, tides and seasons, the arc of evolution, the beating of hearts. Life learns to keep time with the sky, with hunger, with danger, with sleep. Much later, one kind of life begins to ask questions and to build clocks. It looks up at the stars and backwards in its imagination and wonders, how long has all of this been going on? You are one of those question-asking beings. Your individual life is a tiny sliver of 13.8 billion years, and yet every atom in you is ancient. The hydrogen in your body was formed not long after the universe began. The heavier elements in your bones and blood were forged in stars that died long before the sun was born. You are not a visitor dropped into this story from outside. You are made of the story itself, of time and light and gravity and change. Let that thought rest with you like a soft blanket. You are held inside a very long tale, and for this brief, gentle moment, the tale is holding you still. As your mind grows quieter, another question may flicker at the edge of awareness. If the universe has an age and a history, does time itself have a direction? Why do we remember yesterday, but not tomorrow? Why do broken things not spontaneously mend? Why does tea cool in a mug and never warm itself back up? Those are questions for another quiet night. For now, it is enough to know that you are lying inside a vast old universe on a small world in one small moment, carried forward by a flow of time that began billions of years ago and is, very gently, rocking you towards sleep. Let yourself be still. Let your breath drift in like a slow tide, then slip softly away. Now, imagine time not as numbers on a screen or hands on a dial, but as a gentle arrow, always pointing forward. You never wake up into yesterday. You never fall back into the body you had as a child. Even when you stay perfectly still, even when you feel as if nothing is happening at all, you are moving along that arrow. The past settles quietly behind you. The future waits, unwritten, ahead. You can only move in one direction. But why should that be true? Why is there a before and an after it all, instead of some strange, directionless drift? Down at the level of particles, the laws of physics are often almost indifferent to direction. If you watch two tiny particles collide and then play the film backward, the equations are still satisfied. The math doesn't flinch. Forward or backward, the rules still work. So where does this feeling of one way only come from? To find it, we listen to something very quiet and very patient: entropy. Entropy is often confused with chaos, but it's softer than that. Think of entropy as a measure of how many ways the pieces of something can be arranged. A newly poured cup of tea is simple and tidy. Heat is gathered in the liquid, ready to spread. Leave it alone, and the warmth flows into the air, spreads through the room. The tea cools. The molecules of heat disperse. There are now many more ways for those particles to be arranged than there were before. Entropy has increased. The same is true when ice melts, or smoke drifts away from a candle, or a vase shatters on the floor. The before is orderly, ice in a cube, smoke hugging a wick, a vase in one piece. The after is scattered, lukewarm water, faint smell in a room, fragments across tile. It isn't that the reverse is impossible in a strict sense. It's that it is unimaginably unlikely. There are so many more ways for things to be spread out than to be perfectly arranged. The universe gently prefers what can happen in more ways. There are more ways to be mixed than separated, more ways to be warm and even than sharply hot here and cold there. So, as time passes, systems tend to drift toward higher entropy. That drift defines the arrow. It's why you see candles burn down but never unburn, why wrinkles deepen rather than smooth themselves away, why memories gather behind you instead of in front. And yet, entropy is not an enemy. It is the background condition that allows your life to exist at all. Your body is a temporary island of order in a sea that loves to spread out. You eat, breathe, and radiate heat. You take in structured energy, food, sunlight, and turn it into motion, thought, warmth. You use the flow from high energy to low to fuel your heartbeat and your dreams. You're not breaking the arrow of time, you're surfing it. Every heartbeat is a small dance with entropy, borrowing order for a while, then giving some of it back. Could time itself ever truly run backward? Some ideas in physics toy with such possibilities in exotic regions, near black holes, in certain mathematical models of the universe's beginning or distant future. But for you, here, in this room, time flows forward. Your memories are stored in one direction. Your hopes all live on the other side. The present is the knife edge between them, the point of the arrow. Come back to that edge for a moment. This breath, this pause, this soft space between thoughts. You are not being yanked along by time. You are being carried, like a leaf on a gentle current, like a star drifting on a spiral arm. There is comfort in that motion. It means change is possible. It means pain can soften. It means sleep can arrive. It means tomorrow, whatever it holds, is always somewhere ahead. As the universe ages, entropy slowly, steadily rises. The arrow behind us grows longer, a long trail of becoming, stretching all the way back to the first stars and beyond. Your life is a bright thread woven into that trail. Your experiences, your choices, your quiet nights like this one are all small, shining points along the arrow. Rest in the drift for a moment. No need to push it forward, no need to pull it back. Just let it carry you a little deeper into calm. Now, let your breath settle like a feather on still air. Inhale gently, and let the exhale leave you as softly as an unsaid question. Instead of seeing time as a flat, straight line, picture it as something with shape, a ribbon that curls, a river that bends, a spiral turning slowly through space. Physics suggests that time is not separate from space at all. Together, they form a single fabric, space-time. Mass and energy bend this fabric, and where it bends, time itself changes. A heavy planet makes a shallow bowl in space-time. A star makes a deeper one. A black hole makes a well so steep that even light cannot climb out if it gets too close. Near the bottom of such wells, time slows down. This is not a poetic exaggeration. It's been measured again and again. Clocks on satellites high above Earth tick slightly faster than clocks on the ground. Astronauts orbiting our planet age a tiny bit more slowly than their loved ones below. Even within your own body, your head lives in a slightly weaker gravitational field than your feet, and so time passes fractionally faster near your scalp than near your toes. The differences are tiny, but they are real. Time is local. It listens to where you are and how you move. Imagine the extreme version of this near a black hole. You hover at a safe distance, watching a beam of light or a small spacecraft fall toward the dark center. As it approaches the event horizon, the boundary beyond which nothing can get back out, its progress looks slower and slower. Light climbing away is stretched into redder, weaker wavelengths. The falling object seems to creep, then almost freeze at the edge. From your viewpoint, its time has nearly stopped. For whatever is falling, though, its own time feels normal. Their seconds tick as always. They continue forward, crossing a boundary they cannot report back from. Time in one place can crawl, while time in another runs freely. The universe is not one giant, synchronized clock, but an intricate landscape of many clocks, each following its own curved path. Some mathematical solutions to Einstein's equations even allow for loops in time, curves that, in theory, could bring an event back to where it began. These closed time-like curves are like knots in the fabric. They're fascinating to imagine, but so far they live only in equations and speculative models. We have never seen such a loop in reality. No visitor has stepped out of tomorrow to say hello. For now, time behaves, in our experience, like a river that may have bends and varying currents, but always flows downstream. And yet, as you lie here, you might feel that you've already touched something, like bending and looping time, not in physics, but in feeling. A memory can pull you backwards so vividly that for a moment, it feels almost real again. A scent, a melody, a familiar street can fold years into nothing and lay the past gently on top of the present. In dreams, time stretches and knots itself. An entire lifetime can seem to pass between two alarms. Physics gives time structure. Your heart and mind give it texture. Let your awareness drift there now to the time you experience from inside. You cannot rewind the actual events of your life, but you can revisit them. You can walk through an old house in your mind, hear a voice that is no longer in the room, feel a younger version of yourself as if you were still wearing that skin. This is not time running backward. It is meaning looping back to touch you again. If the universe's arrow keeps pointing forward because entropy grows, your inner arrow has little curls and eddies along the way. It replays, reflects, reimagines. That is one of the ways you make sense of being carried along. So tonight, instead of trying to hold on to the past or rush into the future, you can simply let the arrow place you where you already are, right here, in this breath, in this bed. In this very gentle moment, the trail behind you is complete. The path ahead will right itself in its own time. Nothing in this second needs to be undone or accelerated. Let the idea of time grow soft around the edges. You don't have to solve it. You don't have to control it. You can rest inside it, like a small boat resting on a slow river, drifting exactly as fast as it needs to. Let yourself drift a little deeper. Let your breath come and go as quietly as a tide in the dark. Now imagine loosening your grip on time, not getting rid of it, just letting it blur at the edges. When you stop checking the clock, when you stop asking, "What time is it?" something gentle begins to happen. The seconds soften. Minutes lose their sharp outlines. You begin to slide toward the place where waking ends and dreams begin. Let the world fall away for a while. The lists, the plans, the bright rectangles of screens. Let your thoughts scatter like leaves over still water. and then sinks slowly out of sight. You are safe here, in this soft space between awareness and sleep. In that in-between, time changes its behavior. You've felt it before. You close your eyes for what feels like a moment and find that an entire dream has unfolded, a city explored, a conversation with someone you miss, a journey that seems to last hours. Other times, a dream feels enormous and intricate, and when you wake and check the clock, only a few minutes have passed. Dream time doesn't follow the same rules as waking time. The clock by your bed keeps counting seconds in a steady rhythm, but your mind inside a dream has its own sense of before and after. Part of the reason is that sleep itself travels in waves. Over the course of the night, you move through repeating cycles, each about an hour and a half long. Light sleep, deeper sleep, then the strange, vivid territory called REM, rapid eye movement, where your eyes twitch under closed lids while your body lies still. In REM sleep, your brain lights up in patterns that look surprisingly like wakefulness, and yet the usual signals from the outer world grow quiet. No sunlight to announce morning, no footsteps in the hall, no messages lighting up a screen. Deprived of those anchors, your brain begins to weave its own sequences. It pulls threads from memory, feeling, imagination, and stitches them into stories. There is no physical sun crossing the sky of a dream, so time there is not tied to the turning of Earth. A dream can jump from one place to another without traveling the distance in between. You might find yourself in your childhood home and, in the next breath, standing by an ocean you have never seen. Years can flip like pages. Seasons can change in a single doorway. The dream doesn't bother to explain. It simply moves. Because dreams are built from images and emotions rather than from clocks, their sense of duration depends on how dense they feel, how much happens inside them. A single, intense moment can feel huge. An entire sequence of events can be remembered as a brief flicker. Studies that wake people during REM and ask them to guess how long they were dreaming show how slippery dream time is. The guesses wander. The experience doesn't map neatly onto the minutes. In that way, dreams are honest reflections of something you already know. Time is partly external and partly created inside you. Even in the day, a joyful hour can vanish, while an anxious 5 minutes feels endless. In sleep, the outside portion is stripped away, and you are left mostly with the inner part, the feeling of time, unmoored from schedules and alarms. This is one reason dreams can be healing, even when they are strange. They temporarily release you from the rigid grid of appointments and responsibilities. Your mind is free to wander through old rooms, revisit unresolved moments, rehearse imagined futures, or simply drift through nonsense. Somewhere inside that seeming chaos, your brain is quietly sorting and stitching, moving memories, connecting ideas, processing feelings. Time in dreams is not a straight road, but a canvas where moments can stretch and fold. You don't need to control that process. You bring the ingredients the day you lived, the memories you carry, the emotions humming underneath, and your sleeping mind does the rest. Time loosens and curls around those pieces until they find a different shape. From here, another question can rise softly. If time can stretch and twist in dreams, if it can feel so elastic that seconds become stories and stories become moments, is there any limit? Could time ever run so thin that it disappears? Could there be a place where time, in any meaningful sense, ends? Let your breath slow, like the last small ripples after a stone has slipped into a pond. Imagine yourself looking out over an unimaginably long future, not years or centuries, but spans of time so vast that every human history combined forms only a brief note in the middle. Right now, the universe is still full of motion. Stars burn, galaxies spin. New suns are born from clouds of gas. Gravity pulls structures together even as space itself stretches them apart. Time, in the physical sense, is marked by all these changes. But if the expansion of the universe continues to speed up, as our best measurements suggest, then galaxies will keep drifting farther apart. Stars will use up their fuel. New stars will form less and less often. Eventually, the bright points will go out one by one. White-hot remnants will cool, growing dim and cold. Even black holes, those deep wells of gravity, will slowly leak away their energy over inconceivably long periods. In that distant future, matter will be thin and evenly spread. Temperatures will even out. Almost nothing will happen, because there will be almost no differences left for nature to work with. No hot and cold, no dense and empty, just a faint, uniform quiet. This scenario is sometimes called heat death, not a destruction by fire, but a settling into complete balance. If nothing changes, what does time mean? Time, at its core, is our way of noticing change. This, then that, before, then after. In a universe where nothing meaningfully changes anymore, time might technically continue, but there would be nothing to mark its passage, no events to separate one moment from the next. It would be an endless, almost featureless now. That is one possible ending. Others have been imagined. A universe that stops expanding and collapses back inward. A cosmos that bounces and breathes. A multiverse where new pockets of space and time constantly bud into existence. For the moment, these are ideas at the edge of what we can test. For you lying here, the distant fate of all things is more lullaby than worry. You are made for a smaller, gentler scale. Decades rather than trillions of years. Rooms rather than galaxies. Your own experience of time is already finite. That finiteness is part of what makes your moments tender. Knowing they will not last forever encourages you, when you can, to inhabit them more fully, to notice a voice you love, a patch of sunlight, the feel of your own breath. Even if the universe's story eventually quiets, your place inside it now is very alive. You are in the moving part of the song, the part where stars still shine and hearts still beat. From there, another question whispers at the edge of thought. If time seems to have a beginning, and perhaps some kind of end, what about before? What does before time even mean? Let your body grow heavier, as if the mattress beneath you were a gentle field holding all your weight. Picture yourself drifting toward the earliest moment we can speak about, the first flash of the universe we know. Our best picture tells us that about 13.8 billion years ago, the universe was extremely hot, dense, and small. Not a fireball in empty space, but all of space itself compressed and then expanding. In that early moment, space and time emerged together. Time is part of what opened up. Asking what came before is like asking what lies north of the North Pole. The word before already assumes a timeline. If the timeline itself began there, the question bends back on itself. Still, our curiosity is stubborn and gentle. We keep wondering, could there have been something, some kind of state, some kind of reality, out of which our space and time emerged? Some theories suggest that time is not fundamental, but something that appears when many pieces of the universe interact, the way temperature appears when many molecules move together. According to those ideas, before our universe took shape, there may have been no time to speak of at all, only a kind of timeless potential, a restless sea of possibilities, out of which a particular history, our history, crystallized. Other proposals imagine a cosmic foam at unimaginably small scales, where tiny fluctuations could give birth to entire universes. In that picture, our universe is one bubble among many, each with its own version of space and time. There are also models in which the universe expands, then contracts, then expands again in cycles without a true first cycle. In such a story, before our current expansion might be another phase of the same larger rhythm. Right now, these remain beautiful speculations, ways of stretching our minds around questions that may always taste of mystery. We cannot look through the Big Bang. The early universe was too dense, too bright. Its earliest moments are hidden behind a curtain of extreme conditions. We are left with echoes, like the faint cosmic microwave background that still glows all around us, and with mathematics that points beyond the edge of what we can see. Beyond those edges, perhaps the best word we have is not place, but stillness, a kind of timeless, spaceless possibility from which our particular stream of time began to flow. Not an answer, but a direction to lean toward when your thoughts grow quiet. You've likely felt small personal hints of something like timelessness, the pause before sleep fully takes you, the moment in deep meditation when the sense of minutes and hours drops away, the feeling of being so immersed in music or nature or love that you forget to ask, what time is it? Those experiences don't break the laws of physics. They simply show you what it feels like when your mind stops measuring for a while. Maybe the universe was born out of a vast, unknowable version of that kind of stillness. Maybe somewhere, under all the noise of expansion and stars and questions, a trace of that quiet remains. From here, you can let go of needing to know. The mystery is larger than any one explanation, and that's all right. What matters most, in this small, tender segment of time you've been given, is how it feels to be inside it. To your body, time is rhythm, heartbeat, breath, the gentle cycling of hormones and sleep. To your mind, time is story, memories stacking behind you, possibilities stretching ahead. To the cosmos, time is structure, the order in which things happen, the framework that lets change occur at all. For you, resting here, time is also something softer. It is the hush before rain, the feeling of your chest rising and falling, the way a single moment can suddenly feel wide enough to hold all of you. It is the background against which meaning appears. Every quiet second you've spent listening, wondering, and breathing has become part of your own thread of time. It isn't wasted or lost. It is woven in. You have allowed yourself to pause inside a universe that almost never stops moving, and that is a gentle kind of courage. You don't need to decide what time really is tonight. You don't need to solve the universe. You are already part of it, already carried by its unfolding, already held by a rhythm that began long before you and will continue long after. Let that be enough for now. Let time wrap around you like a soft, warm blanket you don't have to hold in place. Let your thoughts grow lighter and your breath grow slower until the difference between one moment and the next fades into a single, peaceful drift. You are here. You are safe. The universe is keeping time, and your body is keeping time, and you, just by resting, are part of that quiet, cosmic rhythm. Sleep, when it comes, will take care of the rest.